Welcome back to the Screen Level Fair podcast. We're here in the Toronto office, the branch of content creation and media excellence. Uh,
That's a big abbreviation.
yeah. Our head office is in Montreal, as we explained in our last hit episode, talking about Avatar 3. Now, we know the fans really want more Avatar based content, but to keep the theme of Avatar, yeah, and the Navi, we're doing another blue episode. And now what you think is were we talking about aliens again? But no, we're talking about a song sung blue. Complete pivot, complete 180. We're talking about a relationship drama, music biopic about a cover band.
Okay, hold on. You're all right. We're already digging into this because I think I had this conversation without you because we had a conversation related to this. Yes, we are here to talk about Song Sung Blue.
Oh no,
Not a Song Sung Blue.
the song sung
Not
blue.
to, again, I always come down on, but what you've done it to me now. You gaslight me to the point like I add
You add it,
to movies that
or
don't
you
have
remove
the in
it because you're afraid of being me. You're like,
Well,
we're not the same. I'm like, we're the
We're
same.
so in our own head about this, but okay, so how do you say the genre of this movie?
Oh, it's just funny. We had some hate comments on this.
Right, and I there is an answer to this,
I see. I would say biopic, and then there's
right?
also biopic,
Which is what I say.
yeah.
And so, I don't know if the dude that commented that, because I finally clapped back when I saw that comment way too late.
I was gonna send it to you, be like, hey, there's a hater.
It is biopic.
Yeah,
It is biopic. Like
Yeah.
the dictionary, it is biopic.
I Googled
And I
it.
didn't know. Like I just always because to me it was biographical picture.
yeah,
It's biopic. There's no what is the opic?
Yeah.
Like that doesn't, it's not a real thing. And I realized I was like, yeah, because the comment agreed with you. Because I
Yeah.
said biopic, the dude was coming down on me. But and then I was like, yeah, because Brandon does say it weird. And then yeah, anyway, it was like
for the fans,
Bert Kreischerism of where he goes
Yeah.
like he says like dreams or something.
Yeah, for the
Here's his biopic.
for the backstory on this, we're a relatively small growing channel, and we appreciate all the feedback, no matter how negative. But the most negative feedback we've ever had was when we talked about Zack Snyder, and the only other time was we joked about Dewey Cox, one of the greatest
Yeah.
rock and roll parody spoofs, because it does nail the biopic genre to the wall, especially musical ones.
Yeah.
However, that being said, yeah, one of our best hater comments was like, bro, it's not a biopic. There's no biology in this. Like, when you learn to speak, idiot. Like, nice
Yeah,
podcast.
he hit me with the thing. Actually, dude.
Yeah,
And hit me with the nerd energy.
Chief Redditor energy coming in. And
Yeah.
hey, I love a good Redditor. I like to be the heel Redditor of this podcast. But so yeah, that guy was like, yeah, the guy with the mullet 4 IQ points is actually chief of understanding here. This
I thought it was an alt account of yours.
Yeah.
This Brandon guy is really smart, dude. He knows how to say biopic right.
Every time we have a disagreement, I make a poll on our Instagram, and the poll is always like
votes on it with 4 Instagram.
Yeah. I go to my 3 different accounts for my business, the gaming channel, the other pocket. Like I go through the to vote it up. But in this one case, no, it was a Redditor from the great beyond that came in, and I was like, so
dude, I saw it so late, and then when I finally saw it, I'm like, I realized I'm like, well, I've never like Googled it. So I Googled it and I was like, I hit him back with that. Actually, bro, energy. So
I actually
let
the algorithm sort this out, because it was like, oh yeah, maybe we do need to look into that. And the next 4 clips on my algorithm were people talking about biopics, and all the captions and the screenshots for biopics were agreeing with us. So anyways, but let's not derail too much further than we have.
Yeah, classic come in. Brandon always leads our intros. He's always so good. And then I just come in and make with that same Redditor.
Actually,
sir, it's Song Blue, and it's a biopic, not a biopic.
And just on that note too, the amount of times you hear Song Sung Blue,
too many times,
too many times, and if on the 3rd time you hear it, they go, "Oh, Song Blue," that would actually drive me nuts too.
Yeah.
So mutual point.
Well, so yeah, let's rewind this a little. Yeah, let's get it back on track. That's me. I derailed. But this was the 2nd podcast now we've recorded that's coming off of Cineplex Mystery Monday premieres or whatever they call them. And I have to say, we're going to talk a lot about the experience of this, because I think this is the first one that I feel like as an experience was much more complex than I think the first one.
More divisive and edgy.
Yeah, because this was the first one I feel like most people were surprised on. This one, like, there was a lot of confidence that it was going to be one or the other. So we'll dig into that. But Just overall, yes, this was a movie that really surprised me.
Yep.
The trailer is awful.
One of the worst.
Awful, and I've seen it so many times.
Almost on par with the Hamnet one, which I said to Shay. We rarely disagreed to the extent we did, but I was like, I don't think I actually want to do an episode on this because the trailer's so bad. And then
I was gonna skip the movie. I wasn't gonna go see the movie. I wasn't gonna.
Not in theaters on Christmas Day. It's like
I hate that. That was my instinct.
There's a lot of good Christmas stuff. We got like Avatar's in theater at the same time as Marty Supreme's launching, and in Canada, which is annoying because the States got this, but No Other Choice comes out in Canada on Christmas Day. So Christmas Day is stacked, and we were like, at least me, I was hoping the Monday mystery premiere, lining up with the 2-week early premiere, was going to line up with Marty Supreme, a movie we're both really excited to talk about. And here's where I would say, like, the framework what we're about to talk about as far as the surprise of the Monday mystery. I call it the Cineplex surprise because we went to the first ones in our cities, Montreal and Toronto. And for us, my girlfriend and I, we went in and we were thinking like, oh, it's going to be Now You See Me 3.
Yeah, I was convinced of that too.
And
Now You 3 Me.
Now You 3 Me. And we were so concerned that we're like, oh, well, I don't know, it'll be fun. It'll be neat. We go in and it was Eternity, which was a great movie, great episode. And like I said in the episode, as soon as, like, because you have no idea, as soon as everything fades out and they roll the intro of the movie, the A24 logo pops up and everybody in my theater went, oh, we're in for a treat. And then this movie, the polar opposite, you see Hugh Jackman on screen and goes, hi there, it's Hugh Jackman from movies you may have seen, like Les Mis. Yeah, I bet you didn't expect us. We're here to show you a song sung blue. And like audibly, my girlfriend and I included went, oh.
I'll tell you, so from our perspective, yes, I thought it would be either Song Sung Blue or Marty Supreme, and I obviously was really hoping that it would be Marty Supreme. Yeah. And like there was reasons it could have been.
The run times.
One thing that I honed in on the day of was the rating. The film rating was G, and Song Sung Blue was G. At least in Quebec, I know it's slightly different in Ontario.
Yeah. Okay.
But so that made me going in. I was like, oh fuck, it probably will be. Yeah. Because that's one of the things they can lie about the runtime. It doesn't really matter, which they did. But but that was one where I was like, oh, it is rated G. So I was like, and the length. So I was like, I was pretty convinced that it would be that. But I was sitting next to Sam because once again, like based on the first one, I was intending to be like more respectful in how I deal with it. So I told Sam, who once again, his whole gimmick, right? He never knows.
He
comes
up
to movies with me,
God bless
unannounced. I tell him the times when he shows up. And so I told him, I'm like, when it starts, I will have a sign. And I was like, if I poke you with one finger, it's because it's the movie I wanted. If I poke you with two, it's the movie I didn't want. And if I poke you with three, I didn't know what movie it was. And then Hugh Jackman and Kate Hudson pop up, and I started poking him aggressively with 2 fingers. But then the crowd, someone yelled "fuck" right away, and like was so pissed. And honestly, 10 to 15 people walked out instantly, and they did like this PSA thing at the beginning where they introduced the movie. Like, oh, I bet you're surprised. Yeah,
it's kind of the mystery
in on the bit. And so, like, but again, 10 to 15 people just walked out instantly.
Yeah.
And I was like, again, like I was with them, like in terms of the, like, that's not the movie I wanted to see. And I'd seen that trailer so many times. And frankly, it was only because of the trailer.
Yeah.
But like, and because this season, right, we'd go to the movies, like I was seeing 3 or 4 movies every Friday in one day for like a month.
So to go on a Monday after 4
every single time it played that trailer. So I was just so like, oh my God, it's just Oscar baity, and you're like, who cares?
Yeah.
And frankly, I like Hugh Jackman. I never really cared all that much for Kate Hudson, but I was like, what? Like,
I cared about Kate Hudson after this movie.
Oh yeah. Well, okay, yeah. Like once again, this is why we'll get into this, because conceptually, this is why I love this concept. We'll dig into that, but yeah, I was not looking forward to this at all. And then our experience, because we've actually not talked. We always try to really limit how much we talk about. I really don't know how much we know about each other's experience. My experience with this movie was a batshit wild. Like it was one of my favorite experiences of the year, and based on our scale, this was a movie experience that I loved. Yeah. It was a blast. It was like way not what I expected. And the only thing I'll say to sort of set expectations is, I think if you watch this at home or like by yourself or whatever, or even like at a theater, but just with less people, like I feel like you wouldn't get that same experience. And it was so circumstantial to conditions in which we saw the movie. But I think like if I was trying to say like if I watched this by myself, it probably would have been mid great performances. I
Yeah.
really liked the two lead performances. Well, every performance, frankly, except one, which we'll get into. Um, but like otherwise it would have been fine
Yeah.
probably. And again, that this became an experience I absolutely loved. And again, to me was way better than I expected.
And then that for the record too, you even talked about this people who walked out of your theater. It was so noticeable that somebody even posted on like a Montreal
Yeah.
subreddit about theater going. It was like, oh, it's so disrespectful that like 15 people walked out of your theater.
Yeah.
Even my theater, and like this is a kind of like a comment. I'm always joking about like the A24 type, the Redditor types again, that are all about movies. Two dudes left about 10 minutes into this movie on our theater. To be fair, they're probably two dudes hoping for Marty Supreme. They're leaving and they had like an A24 letterbox tote bag. And I was just kind of like, how dare you call yourself a cinephile or somebody that loves movies? You're going to see an $8 movie 2 weeks before it's
Yeah.
out, and you're seeing it with a full theater, and you're like, actually, it's not Marty Supreme. I'm here to hype beast myself about being a movie person. It's like, get bent if you're a type of person. And this happened too. I think it was Frankenstein or something. There's a bunch of girlies, Gen Z girls in front of me. They had a letterbox tote bag and they talked the whole movie around their phones. And I'm like, I hate that film culture is a thing. I hate even like the idea there's some good ones out
Film
there,
Twitter.
like film influencers that go to talk about the beauty of movies. It's like it like anything has just become this like echo chamber of like talking about movies, and we hate to like be in that realm sometimes because yeah, it's like fake fan alert. You know, we joke about
Yeah.
seeing Avatar. I'm like, yeah, what was the chick's name? And you're like, oh, Kiri or Kira? You know, I was like, no, fake Avatar fan. I'm like, fair enough. Yeah, the 9 year gap between movies, I fell off. But yeah, so you know, even in a movie like you had like 10 to 15 people walk out, we had a couple walked out of ours like an hour in, and that's fair. Like
Yeah, we had more people leave after too.
after.
Some of them gave it some time, but
And it's
yeah.
not because it's a bad movie, but I think like with the mystery premiere, the first time it was such a crowd pleasing, great experience to go from like you're expecting,
And it was a
kinda-
real surprise.
yeah, it was a real surprise.
I
Where
think,
this,
for most.
yeah, with this movie
Myself.
being the second surprise, people being like, I was so surprised by the first one. Maybe some of those return viewers are like, oh, I did not want to see again the biopic about a cover band from the
Biopic.
90s. Yeah. So yeah, so but to talk about the movie itself and not just like the theater bait experience. Yeah, my girlfriend and I went in and like half the people we went, when we realized what it was. But as the movie went on, it like a Hamnet thing for me, I went in like actively trying to like disengage or make jokes about it. But yeah, there was a turning point in the movie. We're like, oh man. And a lot of the themes and the characters, and again, like this is why you love movies. I could connect, I could find my way in. And by the end of it, I was like, it's not my favorite movie of the year by any stretch, but man, did I actually really appreciate what it was and what it did and the execution of it. Even if like I think my initial take was like when you start hearing Hugh Jackman for the first time singing "Song Sung Blue," and it's the Hugh Jackman like musical performance. I was kind of like, oh, dude, I don't want to sign up for Les Mis again. Like, again, not a bad movie, but it's like I'm not here to hear Hollywood actors do covers of a cover band doing a cover of a Neil Diamond song.
Yeah.
So it had a lot going against it, but I really did find my way in and enjoy it. And we'll dig into it and we'll spoil it a bit, but it's spoiler free. It was a good time in the theater with a good audience. Kind of like when I talked about, again, Hamnet, it's like Shay was like, what a great movie. For all these reasons, I could easily recommend it. And I was like, it's hard to recommend to a watch at home streamer crowd. I think seeing this on theater, if you're one of those people that's like, what do I do with my family in the holidays? If you have older parents, maybe go see this with them. Like I think if you're a Neil Diamond fan, maybe go see this, which we're both not like overwhelmingly.
Not at all.
For
my case,
I did laugh because for those who know, I'm a wedding videographer outside of all my film work and the podcast. So I've been to like 250 weddings in my lifetime, and I'm only 30, so that's like 30 a year for the last decade.
Like 4.
Yeah, so I go to a lot of weddings, and obviously watching the trailer, knowing Neil Diamond and all that, like Sweet Caroline's a big bop, and it's a big wedding bop. And I like looked at my girlfriend the first time I saw this trailer, and I was like, we're probably not going to see that. And I was like, if I have to see the sweet,
Shay makes me go see this.
if Shay makes me go see the Sweet Caroline origin movie as a wedding guy. And to be fair, I think when we talk about buying it, like I wasn't loving it at the start, but much like the momentum of the movie, by the time they actually do get to start playing the sequences of Sweet Caroline, I and the people in the movie and the people in the theater were so jazzed when they were doing the Sweet Caroline and the momentum's building, and you're like, bah, bah, bah. Like it's corny as hell. I'll get at that, but in the movie, it's like almost a meta commentary where like Neil Diamond's got so many great songs, and even the movie itself is like Yeah, just stick to the classics everybody knows.
Yeah, they tried to yeah.
Yeah, so no, I really enjoyed it. I think it's worth a watch. I would say, like, comparatively, between Marty Supreme and Avatar, it's the 3rd movie I would still see even if I liked it. But yeah, definitely check it out in a theater. If you're watching this and you haven't seen it, we're probably gonna spoil it very
Well,
quickly.
not yet. I want to jump into I want to talk more about this concept of the Monday surprise premiere thing because I actually, so you said about Reddit, I posted in Reddit, and it's unofficial, but it's the r/Cineplex.
Montreal,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, not even much. It's just
Cineplex,
r/Cineplex.
okay.
Yeah, and it's an unofficial, like it's not actually like linked to the company, but it's like a lot of people, obviously the Canadian film goers there, and so I posted about the walkouts because I was really, like I thought it was so stupid because I was like. I think what I posted, and we'll pop it up, but it was basically like if you walked out, especially right out of the gate, that's super loser energy. I was
Yes.
like, it's loser energy because you're already here, you've committed, and conceptually, you committed to a Monday surprise premiere.
At half price for a movie no one
It's
will see for 2 weeks, which
all
is a
we
good deal.
know, all you know is yes, you pay less to see a movie, an unreleased movie early.
Yeah.
That's the setup. And to me, like I'm like again, I don't know their ambitions with the marketing, but I'm like, this is to attract people that like
Love
movies
movies,
and
yeah.
to bring them out.
Yeah.
And to me, so like again, this was a movie that I would have dismissed and I would have watched. And frankly, if we did go see it, my experience would not have been as good, I think, without question. Even if
Yeah.
you saw this, like the people that I imagine watch that trailer and are gonna show up are not gonna be the ones to replicate our
They say in the
experience.
movie, the silver-haired crowd, you
Yeah,
know, like, it yeah.
and I'll get into that in the spoiler part about why, because it's all related to a lot of things that happen in the movie. But I was like really like again, obviously do whatever you want, country, all that. That which was one of the funniest comments I got back was someone posted in my thing and said they're like, "Oh, I guess OP finally understands the concept of free will." And I was like, if you know me at all, like
Yeah.
politically and otherwise, like that's like a foundation. I'm like, no, you're free to do what you want. Just like I'm free to be like, you're a loser if you do this.
Yeah.
Because like the fact that so many people cleared out, and I'm really like, again, even broadening this up, if I'm sitting down to watch a movie, I'm watching the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because like how many movies get it, it's not making sense, or I'm just not on its wavelength, and then the end comes and it's oh my god, like
Oh, this
you
is what they're
have
saying,
you
what they're
have to
doing.
experience a
Yeah.
movie fully to judge it. And if you are not the kind of person that cares to do that, like again, you're totally fine to do whatever you want. But to me, it's like I really hope those, and I know they can probably and did, but I'm like, I really hope that they don't refund them because like well like literally like
Yeah.
where we were in worse seats
Yeah.
because it sells quick.
Yeah.
And granted, the people in our row left, so we all just slid over to the seats I would have bought if I could have bought whatever seat I
Yeah.
wanted anyway. But I'm like, you're actively blocking the opportunity for other people. Like I bought our
Real
tickets
fans.
within like 2 hours, and a lot of it was sold out
Yeah.
already.
Here in Toronto too, like we hopped on, like I was like you 24 hours after it was
Yeah.
announced, I went to go hop on, and the Scotiabank Theater downtown, one of the big ones, it was bad seats only left, and I was
Yep.
like, okay, we'll make it work. And then I went to go buy the tickets the next day after. I was like, oh, it's already bad seating. They'd added the Queensway one near me. It was
So
like,
they added a
they
screen.
added a
Nice.
screening, and my theater was probably about 75% full, and not as many walkouts. But it was kind of funny. It's like there is a demand for the theater goer,
Yep.
for the downtown, the eccentric, the people that love movies to go to these. And yeah, I think it's so disingenuous if you book it the minute it comes out and then you walk out the minute the movie starts.
Yeah.
And like I was joking again, it's like this weird fake fandom of like, I love movies, and then you walk out with your Letterboxd tote bag and your glasses held high, you Redditor,
Yeah.
and you go and you leave, and it's like, how dare you have a Letterboxd tote bag and act like you're a fan of film and the theater experience if you're like, because again, it wasn't a bad movie. It wasn't like we were watching, like I think the only time I was talking about walkouts before was the Will Ferrell Sherlock Holmes movie.
Right.
I saw that on like a New Year's Day hungover, and I went with like an ex-girlfriend in 2018, whatever it was. And I saw so many people walking out, and the whole time with this like person I was with, I was like, she's like, do you want to leave? I'm like, honestly, it's so bad. I'm sending this one out because it's just not in me to leave. And yeah, it's like, it's wild. Like walking out of a theater, it's a big statement. And, you know, especially like, yeah, I hope there's a thing in the clause, like you can't get a refund. That's why it's half off. Like,
yeah.
you know.
And like, again, like not big Cineplex fans here. Like
we literally talked about somebody getting engaged in a Cineplex, and the manager came to be like, hey guys, can you help us clear out? And it's like, I think any other theater or like any other people, maybe
Yeah.
like
Would have been in on it.
would have
and
been like,
helpful.
yeah, here's
Yeah.
free popcorn for 2 visits or something minimum, like that. Thanks for having your big
Yeah.
moment in our lobby in front of the welcome to Cineplex sign.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, Cineplex is a bit of a soulless, gutless corporation that monopolized the Canadian
Yeah,
market.
and like, yeah, I'm not. It's not about them keeping the money. Like, I don't even. That's not even the part I care about. It's like I don't want you to like, yeah, reward that kind of shitty behavior of like. There's probably people that like Adriana didn't come. She last minute cancellation. She was able to go, didn't buy a ticket because she's like, there's like 2 seats in the very front row.
Yeah.
And she could have been there with us and have that experience, and that sucks.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's what I mean. Like, again, like you said about this like performative film fan, I'm like, I did not want to watch this movie. I thought it would be terrible, but I was already there. I committed to going, and it's gambling. You don't know, like it's set up that way.
Yeah.
And so it's like, if you care, like give a movie a chance.
Yeah. And despite all the Cineplex,
especially if you're there, like I could be
Yeah.
like, if I like Songs of Blue, if I'm not interested and I don't go, but like how many, like 2 of the movies that you've liked the most this year
Total
have been
surprise.
ones that you dreaded me.
Yeah.
Remember, like Shay's forcing me to go to this movie. I'm like, dude, I'm hearing things that's pretty good. And then like, that's what to me I love about this is like, yes, it doesn't mean you have to see every movie,
Yeah.
right? But it's like, if somebody you trust, somebody you like, nah, man, like I think this is worth going. And it was 2 of them like blew us both away.
Yeah.
And like that to me is like what I love about this. And again, in this, like, even if you walked out, even if they didn't like the movie, which is a totally reasonable
Yeah. Even if
take
they
on the
didn't like
movie,
it.
they would have had a great experience. It was a great experience watching it with everybody.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I think we can lift off into the spoilers on that part, but it was because of that experience. Like, again, if you watch that in any other capacity, you don't have that same experience, I feel like. And just to be with the people that like were of this, like no one really in there, most of them, I won't say everybody, most people there didn't want to see that.
No.
And
like again, audible. When
like
it's
loud
Jackman.
groans. Yeah. There's
I was thinking like the Phil Hartman from The Simpsons as Troy McClure was like, "Hi, I'm Troy McClure. You may know me from," and it was very similar. Like, "Hi, it's Hugh Jackman. Bet you didn't expect to see me," and everyone's like, "No, I didn't."
It was so loud in our theater, I didn't hear what they said.
Yeah,
I didn't hear a word of what they
yeah.
like. And then like I heard like, "Yeah, surprise!" Like, and then there's so much audible, even like buzz humming conversations. Like I didn't hear anything they said in the PSA.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like I just feel like it's so anti the spirit of what this is,
Yeah.
and like give you like again the people that walked out instantly. I have more respect for the people that walked out an hour in or whatever.
Yeah, they gave it a chance.
But even then, I'm like, you guys, because like the first hour and like spoiler talk can begin now. I think that was the part where it was arguably the worst.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of living up to the trailer a little bit of like, it's their rise and all
Well,
of this.
it's the Dewey
and
Cox thing. It's like we're signing up for a music
oversimplified.
biography where it's like, I'm a nobody in a small town, but I have a dream to be a star.
Yeah.
And you're like,
it's hitting all the beats
you're
that
just
you're
waiting.
expecting.
Yeah.
And it's their rise as they ascend and their like life. It's all going
They
good.
hit
for
Sweet
them.
Caroline and they're getting gigs.
Yeah. And so like that first build is the most like basic traditional, I would say. But right from the opening bit, me and Ty started getting on board.
Yeah.
And I could, because like the movie starts and it's a close up of Hugh Jackman and it's slowly panning back and he's monologuing about his character. And
I'm lightning.
And it's like, is he talking to us, like the audience? And because it's introducing himself and it's doing all this, and he's like, and it slowly pans out, and he explaining all this stuff. And me and Ty, like, again, I'm like, kind of like, I'm not, and even the audience, like the crowd, we're not with this movie.
Yeah.
And so as he's doing this, it feels like, oh, fuck, like it is affirming what we want. And then as it pans out and he finishes the monologue, you realize he's at a fucking AA meeting. And me and Ty both went, like we chuckled. And like, so right away, the movie kind of was bringing me on board. And slowly through that rise, it was doing it, but it was still in the same beats. But I was warming to it even during that first hour.
I had the opposite. I think that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when they revealed the AA meeting, I fully went the opposite direction. Because like I was saying, the Dewey Cox thing, I was like, oh, great, he's an alcoholic, and he's about to find stardom and love, and he has substance abuse issues right out of the gate. Like I was like, okay, great. Can't wait for him to relapse in the bottom of the second act. I'm going to go to the bathroom when I don't care to hear him talk about his sobriety. And I immediately was like the opposite. I was like, funny reveal, but like screenwriting 101, and you see music biopics all the time, you see a lot of
We're
music
gonna kill this
biopics.
poor guy. Say it
Yeah.
however you want, baby. I'm gonna stop calling you on it.
You see, like the Dewey Cox argument, you see all these music biopics, and the way like it always goes down. It's like, Dewey, get out! You don't want no part of marijuana.
Yeah.
It's great.
Of course, he has
Hangover
a
for
drug issue.
And it's like, of course, Hugh Jackman's like a recovered alcoholic who's been sober for years. And immediately, again, when you know the framework, you go all these movies, you're like, oh, can't wait for again, like the bottom of the second act. He's just going to go back to the bottle. And like, again, we're in the spoiler half here. But I think a huge strength of this movie is I was rolling my eyes so much of that first hour, being like, can't wait for the crash and the fall. That when they stereotypically, like there is one scene where he finds an old bottle in his like hardware bag.
Yeah.
And he dumps it out. And my biggest praise of this movie is they give us a recovering alcoholic who's a loser trying to get his life on track through music and song. And when there's a rise, he never betrays his sobriety. He never betrays his character. And I think like it's corny, and again, like, but it was nice that like they gave us somebody who's committed and they never betrayed themselves and their values.
Yeah.
It's so lame to say that, but it's like I feel like we survived like those 2010s movies where everything was a paint by numbers, like like we watched like the Bohemian Rhapsody, the Queen biopic, and like it's not a great movie, and like they hit all the Queen songs and you enjoy it, you're there to sing along and have fun kind of thing. But again, like with this movie, I was so worried that I would just feel like, wow, the Oscar made these two great performances, singing these great songs. There's drama, it's melodramatic, but I think like the core of the movie and what really sold me, and I think you kind of agreed to this, and this is a great theme for me as a guy who loves divorced dad energy. These two broken souls kind of meet, things are great. And it was great to see awful things happen to good people, and they change and adapt, and they don't betray themselves. Like it was a good through line and story where like an uncontrollable tragedy will strike and they find a way to like recenter and refocus and be good. They never globetrot. They don't ever leave, like, was it Minnesota or something, like
Missouri.
Is it Missouri? I think it was
Milwaukee.
You know, it's funny because I remember
one of the M's.
I remember thinking, I can't wait for after Christmas when the Red Letter Media guys didn't ever really do this. Not because they like the movie.
I'm gaslighting. Like, was it?
Well, no, it is Milwaukee because they're such Milwaukee guys, so they'll be like, oh, finally a movie about us. Jay, let's talk about it. So, no heat towards the Red Letter Media guys. They kind of pioneered
a little bit of heat.
Yeah.
Stop bitching about the theaters. Fuck.
Yeah, they kind of pioneered the film influencer space. So long story long though, I do think that what I enjoyed was that it didn't follow the beats of a traditional like biopic like movie where they rise to power, they fall off because it goes to their head. They don't really like they play with Pearl Jam, and that's like that was like a nice surprise, and it was a big like funny moment, and like it's lighthearted when it needs to be, it's really heavy when it needed to be, and it was never forced.
It was Milwaukee.
It was Milwaukee. Yeah, it was never forced. Like I was really waiting for it to be forced, where it's like melodrama for the sake of like it's the second act and things are going too well for us. And yeah.
So were you feeling like genuine, like it sounds like you're feeling like genuine, like high emotional beats though?
Yeah, it super was like to get to this like spoilery part. And I want to hear you talk about this. The car crash, which is like the big like not twist, but like that's what saves it from being melodramatic or like they rise too high and they fall. His wife is gardening and everything's going well for them.
It's in the trailer, which is
well, yeah, you see a car turn the corner. It was like a good horror shot. It was like a tasteful jump scare. You see a car turning the corner and it's like it looks like it's swerving a little bit and it runs off the road completely and smashes her in the front wall of their house, and like you're like, oh my God.
And they hard cut, like, so they cut like right at the last second, so you don't see the accident and even know exactly what happened. Like, obviously she got hit, but you don't know like the damage.
Yeah. And like eventually you find out like she'd lost her leg, and it's like,
from like the knee down.
Yeah, how do you be a performer? And like, and so like, yeah, the fall off. That's
well, so I just, before we rush into that, so when that happened, my theater, myself included, howled. We were laughing at the car.
I heard some people go, oh my God. Like,
our theater, dude, and this is what I'm telling you, it was such a weird experience. And like our crowd laughed. Like, and well, also because it happens and it's so sudden. That's the other thing. Like he's playing the guitar and the kids filming him and shit. And the camera just kind of shifts to the other, like the window, and you can see her outside the front window.
To be fair, I get the howling and the laughter. because he for the second or third time he starts singing "Song Sung Blue"
The
in the
second
kitchen.
time at that point.
And I was like, oh, here we go again. And then the camera pans away. I'm like, oh, what are they showing us? And it's a horrific car accident. And I'm like, nice.
And
Like,
again, it's so out of left field. If you haven't seen anything, you don't know it at all that it's coming. I knew the shot was coming because again, it's in the 80 trillion times.
yeah.
But even then, like I didn't laugh at it, but I was like,
Oh, that's how they fit it in.
Finally,
Yeah.
there's the now the shift. But yeah, like our crowd like laughed,
Yeah.
which killed me. I thought that was super funny. And then, but like, so this is where I think our experiences diverge because I just my Sam described it as the film equivalent of Edging. And then I said it was the best Final Destination movie of the year because there's obviously the fall and like that's the decline and there's a serious bit which I know we'll talk about, but just to kind of go over that, there's a scene when she's now on the upswing of her recovery and she's wanting to get back out there, but she's standing in the exact same spot where she was hit and she's looking at the garden and she's just kind of by herself percolating. And there was this moment between Ty and I where we both like we bumped, like we nudged each other and we just went and like I knew that laugh instinctually meant from both of us like it'd be funny if she got fucking hit again in the same spot. Then she walks up the 3 little steps to their front door and a fucking car smashes
another
in,
black sedan
smashes into like right where she just was. And that's when we're all fucking howling at that point because we're like, and again, this is where I'm like, I have no idea how much of this was intended by the movie because I'm giving it more credit where I think there was definitely, they knew to a degree, at least with that bit specifically, that would be funny. And that was her character's like cathartic release because I think that's what really like catalyzes, like she just starts laughing herself. Like she's laughing with us, the character. And it's because she's like, oh my God, this is so crazy. And like it snaps her out and puts her on the right track. But why I think the movie was definitely at least aware of this bit was when we fast forward to the very last shot of the movie, there was this, again, the scene, the kids in the garage, and we're not like really sure where this is wrapping. And again, in our screening, she walks past the kid watching the tape of Hugh Jackman, and she's got the
cart full of flowers. She's finally going to plant the garden.
And she wheels it past him and she walks past him, and our theater just like, oh, like we groan. And so like, and then so it's like the movie knows what it's doing. And again, like she has her daughter watching.
You watching the road?
You're clear, mom, and like she's watching her while she's planning. And so the movie was in on it, but like there's even again, and I'm gonna jump through a lot of beats, but it's the tonal whiplash in this movie was a feature, not a bug. Like it was not like, oh, they didn't know what they were doing because there was like the tone's messy. I wouldn't describe this as messy. It's very much
chaotic, but intentional.
Again, I think it was Sam that said this bit. He described it. He's like, if you take the movie on average, the tone is neutral, but that's because it's so wildly like the highs and the lows. And it was just, but it's not a neutral movie watching experience at all. And like there was again, so there's this like compounding shit. So she gets hit, and then she has a drug problem, and so like the spiral is hitting. And there's this scene where I let out an audible, which again, you guys know me, I don't talk. I try to like be very not disruptive, but again, our atmosphere was different. But when Hugh Jackman's helping the daughter fix her car and she's like freaking out and he's like trying to be constructive and they've just checked their mother into the psych ward of the hospital to like get her off drugs.
Which was an impactful scene too.
Yeah, like great bit. And it was like, again, wildly going through this and you're like, wow, they're like fucking sewing this shit and they're like trying to pay bills and he doesn't want to do it. Like there's so much like depressing shit going on at this point. And then Hugh Jackman's like, well, it can't get any worse. And she goes, I'm pregnant. And I literally let an audible, oh my fucking God. Like
well, they doubled down on that joke too because
and I'm like, they knew what they were doing.
Well, everybody laughed really hard, right? And then like the immediate follow up when he's like, "Oh my God," and everyone's like laughing still. She goes, "How haven't you noticed?" She steps back. She's like 8 months.
Yeah, she's like, well, how far along? And the camera, like, we're getting kind of like medium close, so it's not like we don't see the full body.
Yeah.
And she's like, she's like 4 months or something. He's like, 4 months, and like we're both like 4 months, and she's like, yeah, how did you not notice? She stands back, and
huge baby bump. Yeah, it's like they're super aware. Like, yeah, to even hop in on like we were talking about the car crash sequence and all that. Well, it's funny because like we're joking about like the A24 Redditors and stuff like that. but self-included, there's already at least one or two kind of like hallucinatory, dreamy nightmare sequences.
Yeah.
And so that scene happens in the car because it kind of almost like hard cuts to it after something else has happened in the film. Like it happens and it doesn't feel real at first. And I was like,
Yeah.
and I immediately rolled my eyes, being like, "Oh, this is like a hallucination of grief and trauma." And then the family runs in the front lawn, and be like, are you kidding me? Are you okay?" And then she's like, and they're like, "No, but for real, like, oh my god." I'm like, "Oh, this is real, like this
Yeah.
actually." And then they're like, to happen twice, and like they're talking about it. I was
Yeah.
like, and then they were talking as if we were on like the family side, being like,
Mhm.
"What are the odds?" And again, I like that through line where it's like awful things happening to good people, and like that's why I said earlier, it sounded like a joke or like a bit, but genuinely, it's like, oh yeah, well, she says that lightning can strike twice.
Yeah, the same
Uh,
spot twice.
Yeah, and so it's like, it's funny, the movie's heart is kind of worn on its sleeve, and at first, like me, I, a cynic, I was just kind of like, here we go, but then you warm up to it and you buy in, and yeah, I thought that was like expertly handled. When you're so used to movies where they'll do a dream sequence about grief and trauma, then when that happens for real, you're like, props, mad props, movie. You really had me for like
Yeah.
2 seconds of like, here we go, dream. Oh, that was real. Oh, that is funny. And like
Yeah.
then the audience is with the mom being like, God damn, that was really
Well, and to be clear too, like I don't want to undercut even
Mhm.
the emotional parts that you're talking about, because I'm saying like we were laughing at all these bits, but then when the movie got like emotional
Yeah.
and like really dug into, like there's a handful of like serious like emotional beats like that, it was effective. Like it worked. Like I didn't like like I didn't get emotional, but like I felt emotional. Like I didn't cry, but I felt like I was
Yeah.
kind of blown away.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean about the tonal whiplash. Like it wasn't like just between like funny and not funny. Like, I mean, like it was funny, but then it was sad and it was joyous. And like it was like this gambit range of like, I don't even know what it was, but it was like just taking like, it was kind of, honestly, I feel like the movie, and again, like if this was like execution matched the intent, then a lot of credit, at least how it worked on our audience. But like, to me, the whole movie was that emotional catharsis bit when she's laughing at the fact that the fucking car just hit seconds after she left
Yeah.
for the second time. And that laughter, that's how I felt for the
Yeah.
whole basic duration of the
Yeah.
film. And like one of the things we haven't even mentioned, like all this up and down, all this fucking shit going on, we haven't even talked about Chekhov's heart problem, where like very like from early in the movie, they established that Hugh Jackman's like prone to heart attack,
He's got a bad
has a
ticker.
sensitive heart.
Yeah.
And like multiple times throughout the movie, like he has like a bit where he has to like get brought back, and he like,
Yeah.
so they've set it up in this whole time. So even when all this other shit's going wrong, it's like permanently lingering. And then finally, like when they're back on the upswing again, they're arguably about to be bigger than they even were before.
The comeback
And
tour.
he's getting ready for the big show, and he goes, and you're like, oh my, like that's what I mean about the edge. And you're like, oh my fuck, oh my god, it's finally happening. And that, like when he wipes out, like it was a great, like they didn't cut away,
Smokes
which
his
was
head off the
super
sink.
effective.
Yeah, when he has the ticker, everybody went, oh no. And then he falls, and everyone's
And
like,
smokes
but he
his
smokes
head
his
off
head,
the
and when he
bathroom.
hits his head, the
Off the
audible
s-
thud and the sound work for that, and
Yeah.
everyone went,
Yeah,
whatever,
like
yeah.
we were so invested in that, and
Yeah.
then like let out that audible bit. And then so this sequence that happens after that is literally as he was like getting ready for the big show that they
bleeding
got
through his hairline from it.
and yeah, he's bleeding, and he's like, and there's like a lot of blood, and he doesn't tell anybody, so he goes out on stage. And again, it's like an extended. They do like 3 songs or 2 or 3 songs. Like
Yeah.
2 of them are like
I
amalgamated.
think I had to go to the bathroom, and when they started doing the second song in full, I was like, "Oh my god!" And then
Oh yeah, I had to go to the bathroom.
and
That
then I was
when
making
hit
my
too.
prediction
There's
too,
like
because
3
it's
endings.
the Chekhov's heart problem, where it's like they set it up. I was like, how funny would it be? Because I didn't know the real life story this is based on a real
Yeah.
story, and we'll get into that near the end. But like, I turned to my girlfriend and I was like, oh my god, I bet when they do Sweet Caroline, because they're starting after the third song, I'm like, I hope they don't do 3 full, like that's 20 minutes of screen time.
Yeah.
I was like, I bet they're gonna go like Sweet Caroline, bum bum bum, and that's gonna sink to his heart giving out his
Yeah.
bum bum bum.
Bop, bop.
That doesn't happen.
No.
Yeah.
Well, but again, they like this is what I think Sam was talking about. The edging is that like, so now this whole time we're like thinking as he's going up to do this big performance, like he's gonna die on the fucking stage, like what's gonna happen? And then there's a beat where he drops to his knees and he shares
He's
a
like,
moment
"Help
with his
me."
stepdaughter where and she's
And only she knows because
Because yeah, she had to bring her back.
yeah,
Which, by the way, that scene super random.
logically,
Like they're in a hospital, and he's like, "I need you to come with me." And he pulls the stepdaughter into Zap.
right,
He's like, "I'm gonna have a heart attack."
right after his wife was run over by a car, and
Yeah.
the next thing we see is Hugh Jackman covered in blood, consoling the kids.
Yeah.
And then he pulls the eldest daughter aside to be like, "Hey, by the way, everything's fine and all, but I'm about to literally black out from a heart attack.
Put this here.
You're gonna resuscitate me." And he's like, "I've never done this. I shouldn't do this. We should go to mom. We should call a doctor." He's like, "No, I don't want to bother anybody. But for real though, I'm about to black out right now." And she's like, "What? Okay." And then he's like, "Yeah, when you hear the sound of the," and then she's like, "The sound of what?" And he's like, and he
Yeah, that's
croaks.
what he goes. He's just wait for it to do the.
Yeah, and
then-
you know, "Dee," and she's like, "All right," and does it, and like so, like that was hilarious, but
Yeah.
also like palpable tension. You know, like I would say like credit for the filmmaking, like you said, the blending of tones and timing. It's like before we even going to talk about the tonal stuff, I was gonna say the pacing of this is actually really great. Like,
Oh, I was gonna push back a little on that.
okay, I felt like they sped run all the generic stuff at the start, so I wasn't like I was eye rolling a lot at the start, but like, yeah, they don't do this whole thing like, what do we call ourselves? What is it? They just immediately are like, hey, you said it great, let's
Okay.
keep going. You know.
So I think yes, I would agree with you on the start. I think the end pacing
And pacing
is where it loses me a little bit because yeah, they have like there's basically one of those beats where it's like there was like 3 endings effectively, not in the same like Lord of the Rings
Return of the
end,
King,
but it was
yeah.
like I kind of thought the movie would like wrap at the concert maybe
Yeah.
the last one, and then I thought at the funeral it would end, and then there was another thing at the end, and then like they do like song like again like full songs and all of that. Yeah, they do that song like specifically 3 times, not in its entirety 3 times, but a good chunk of it 3 times.
Well, it starts up and you do hear him go song.
Yeah.
And that every time because
That's the opening bit when he does the monologue and he pulls back and
Yeah.
then sings the
But
song.
whenever the chorus comes, I'm like, oh, here we go. And it's funny because my girlfriend was like, oh man, that movie had a bunch of earworms in it, and I was like, what? And I lethargically go song blue. She goes, no, Suleiman. And I was like, you know what? And then
That's the earworm for sure.
And then I laughed about it. And then for like we're in the elevator later that day. I'm like, Suleiman, like it's still in my head. So
yeah, and that's like again way down his popular list. So it's like funny to me, or at least on Spotify. So
Yeah.
I thought that was really funny because yeah, that was the big earworm for me. But yeah, like so when it was going through those endings, like I like he has that moment where he looks at her and like and then I'm like, okay, this is the bit. Like they're setting it up like he died, and then he rises up and he's okay and he does the thing. And then they have this other beat where they were meeting him at the end after like they were both doing a show. There was like the cover band and then the real thing. And so they were selling out the theater for all the people that couldn't go see the actual show. And they were supposed to meet, and then he dies in the car.
Yeah, which
was like so like
which I want to touch on because like there's a few things like we talk about this all the time where like no matter what my enjoyment level is a movie, I'm always thinking I'm the greatest screenwriter to live. So I'm like I'm trying to predict where it's going. And so at first my first prediction was during the bomb of Sweet Caroline, his heart gives out in rhythm. Doesn't happen. Show goes well. Everybody's happy. Everybody's fine. We're about to go meet Neil Diamond at the diner because he's like, I've heard of you guys, and they're in my mind. He's like, they're like, wow, he really loves us. He wants to meet us. That's so amazing. And my thought was it was going to be another like rug pull gag. It was like, stop covering my shit. Like you're taking all the money off the table. But instead, like you never see. I even thought like with my Avengers Endgame level of like member berries, I thought they'd do like CGI Neil Diamond age down to be like, I love your work, and then they'd cut it out. But instead it's like they're at the diner and they're about to go in and she's like, come on, lightning. And she opens the door and he's just dead. And I was like, damn, that is impactfully interesting. But after the end of this, my girlfriend and I looked up this because like that was a wild story. I see why they made a movie about it. But the real life story is the concert goes well.
Yeah.
They actually had to drive like 2 hours or something in the real life version. They're like, it was an hour out of town. And on the drive back, they're like, what a great time. No Neil Diamond like wanting to meet them.
I think she met him after he died or something.
And as they're driving home, she's like, you okay? He's like, I feel really funny actually. I hit my head earlier. And they're like, we should go to the hospital. They go and they're like, yeah, you've had a brain bleeding hemorrhage for the last like 10 hours.
Yeah.
He's like, oh no, like you're gonna die. He's like, oh, and I guess he went away peacefully into sleep. And I'm like,
it's a documentary. It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Apparently, I haven't watched it yet.
and I see why the filmmakers are like, let's ramp it up a little. Let's embellish this. Because
well, I want to give Ty a lot of credit too because like I remember in a negative way, and I feel like it's just a lot of like the you know the studio culture, which we can talk about too a little. But it's that when I saw the premise conception, I'm like I just was dismissed it. Again, the trailer doesn't help. It's very, it's not a good trailer, but there was part of it for Ty that was like, oh, that's an interesting concept, a biopic about a cover band. And it's like and like when he framed it that way again, I was just like, I couldn't look past the Oscar bait part of it. So I was just like,
Yeah.
it's like I just conflated it. But
Hugh
like
Jackman
conceptually,
musical
that's an
released in December.
interesting
Yeah.
insight of like even like how does one do it? Like what's that kind of like imposter?
Why is it a
Like
good story,
I know it's
period?
not this,
Yeah.
yeah, like it's just a weird concept, and like it was even a bit of like I forget the guy's name, but from Sopranos that like play he's the Buddy
Oh,
Holly
yeah,
impersonator.
yeah.
I'm gonna feel like such an
Super
asshole.
quick. You just reminded me too, because
I
I
gotta look
think
up
had
his
I
name.
never seen a trailer and somebody said, this movie has Chrissy from The Sopranos doing a Buddy Holly cover band, like accent performance, I would have been like, that alone. It's like,
Michael Imperioli.
yeah, I'm like very Italian name, but I was going to be like, I was gonna be like, yeah, if you said Chrissy from Sopranos is like a supporting actor doing a Buddy Holly impression, that alone would have got my butt in the seat. And then so that was a joy surprise. That actually
Okay,
helped me get into it once I was like, oh, he's
because
not a
it's Brady
one-off.
Early too in
Yeah,
there.
yeah, I love seeing him in this. Anytime a Sopranos actor is in anything now,
Well, when he shows up too, when they're working in the garage, and he
yeah,
shows up and he's like, Buddy Holly died when he was 24. He's like, I'm 52 and I'm still
52.
going. And then the whole movie, he's had these glasses. He's like, I
I
don't
don't
even
even.
fucking need these.
Yeah, it's
Like,
a
it was
great
super
bit.
funny. And like, while we're talking about him too, the supporting cast I thought was great.
Yeah,
Again, except one, which we'll get to, but I really loved the scene early on with his dentist slash manager,
manager. Yeah,
and he got him the tooth. Cause I remember I'm like, we were doing that pan out, I'm like, "Oh, looks like he's missing
missing
a
a
tooth."
tooth.
And
Yeah,
as we pan out, there's a scene like almost right after where he goes and cause he's lightning and he gets the tooth put in, it's got a little
the lightning
lightning
etched
bolt,
into it.
which I thought was great. But yeah, like just this banter, like again, it was one of those things where it's like, we were talking even last week with Avatar about like, Hollywood, always these surface level things, which tends to characterize people as like arbitrarily good or bad, but it does feel good once in a while. I think we also talked about this for Rental Family,
Yes.
where it's just like sometimes it is just good to feel good about
Yeah.
someone. And like all of these people are just like good, nice people, good
Nice
people that
people.
you want to root for. And like, it's like even again the manager, which like there's like all the how many movies where the manager's the fucking asshole, and then like even the Elvis one,
Yeah.
and it's like a tale as old as time, and these like biopic things for musicians especially, and it's like, oh no, he's just a funny guy,
Yeah.
and like the scene where they introduce like the road manager or whatever his
I was
actual
gonna hope we get
job
to
was
that.
gonna be,
Yeah.
like so they're like pitching, it's like they're pitching him like he's this kind of like, I thought, okay, is it
Big
with this
guy.
casino because they want to play at this
Well,
casino, so
usually
like
in the music biopic too, that's like the deal with the devil. You want to get
yeah,
famous,
yeah,
and
yeah.
in this case, they're like pitching to this guy, and he's just like, and genuinely, and you buy in because like it's a good scene, but he's like, I see your passion. I just really want to help you guys, and then he becomes a part of the supporting family cast members that are like they're there for the ride, and even in the finale,
Well, but
you
there's
feel
the
good
rug
seeing
pull
everybody.
too of that, where they're
Oh
like,
yeah.
so they're selling him
Well, it's an honest
like
mistake.
again, I thought it was like, oh, maybe this guy owns the casino because they're like, well, the casino's where you get the big gigs or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I thought they were pitching this guy as if he was a casino owner, and he's really buying in. And again, like to
Yeah.
be fair, Hugh Jackman was selling. He's like,
So with smoke and
excuse me, and
air
his vision was
blower.
so great, like the pitch was great.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I'm in, man. And you're like, oh my God, did they just nail it? And then the guy stands up, puts the hat on because he's the fucking bus driver
Yeah.
for all the old people that they're bringing to the casino.
Yeah.
So like that was killing me. And I'm like, oh, okay, he's not this big wig. He's just another guy.
Just
And so
another Milwaukee local that wants to see him succeed.
Exactly.
And like,
Yeah.
like you said about the good people aspect, it's like, I said to my girlfriend, I'm like, I'm glad they weren't globetrotting. They literally never left Milwaukee, basically. And even in the movie, when they do the cover and everything's as big as it could possibly feel, and even they say like, I think we were bigger than Pearl Jam that night, and like that's sweet and
Yeah.
simple. But yeah, it's like you see like the Thai family from the restaurant that's there, and he's got those little moments with the dad, like, you know, it's like almost like, and it's so corny. I had like goosebumps saying it's so corny because I love a bad time, but I did love the fact that it was like, in the movie, in the journey, it was always like, you know, through the power of song and love and friendship, did they create a community and create a life together? And typically I punch myself for saying that, but I was like, that was really nice. It was really sweet. You know, like, cause by the end of it, I was like, yeah, I'm glad that they like, you know, it's like no matter how big or small their act was or whatever, it's like they grew a community through what they love doing.
Mhm.
And like that's so corny and lost in today's landscape. And I'm like, that was nice. That was really simple.
Well, and I think it really works for you because it's almost an evolution of your cynicism. Of like,
Yeah.
I really like things with broken families and broken people, and this is a situation where it's broken families and broken people, but coming together to form a
Yeah.
new one.
And even to touch on that too, it's like even we talked about an Avatar where Spider's like, Dad, please. I was saying like in a worse biopic, this always happens where it's like the kids don't like him at first because like
Oh
obviously,
yeah.
and every biopic it would be like, I'm not your stepdad, I'm the dad that stepped up type vibe. And you know, like very naturally and earned and organically, it's not like a big beat or anything, but the kids started calling him dad or papa. And I was just like, part of me was like, maybe it's my inner child. That's why I'm always cynical about this. I was like, oh, it's really sweet. They're really a family now, you know. And when she's pregnant, going through all this stuff, and when her car breaks down, he's there picking up. He's always a good guy. There's
Yep.
never like a false tone collapse where somebody presents as lightning.
Even their fates. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's so real and honest, and like, yeah, it just like it was good to see like an honest portrayal of good people, and they had their own faults. Like in the real world, according to the story I looked up in the documentary, they were like super fans that were trying to meet Neil Diamond after the show, standing outside the green room. And I'm glad they didn't go that route, being like they're obsessive fans. Not
Yeah.
saying that they were, but it was nice that they just were like they're in their lane and they had this reverence and they had a thing. And yeah, you know, I just also I gotta say because I gotta fit this in here somewhere. Uh, the main actress,
Kate Hudson.
Kate Hudson, never on my radar until this movie. I feel like I saw her doing what I call like the 90s smoking mom, you know? And I'm not saying smoking as hot, which she is, but she just had like that trailer park vibe of like the hairstylist and like,
Yeah, yeah.
dude. And like, I thought like, maybe I'm just getting older myself, but I was like, what a gorgeous rocket woman in this movie. And
Mhm.
I was like, and I believed her and Hugh Jackman like having a real mid-40s, you know,
Yeah.
romance. And I just, yeah, I think everything from the costumes, the hairstyling, the designing, the time period that it was in, I just really, really enjoyed it all. And yeah, her being this like super like fun loving, kind of free spirited, but also financially terrible. They're both financially terrible people. And I just thought like, yeah, it was good. Like they never had her become like a nightmare person to deal with because of her own issues. And when she is, it's understandable and earned. And I
Yeah.
just, yeah, I gave no credit to her because I was like, oh, Hugh Jackman is just going to carry the whole movie. But like, yeah, even like this podcast, you know, like when they talk about being partners and stuff like that, like it felt like real and sincere. They weren't doing
Mhm.
this to get like rich or whatever. They like she says multiple times, I just wanted to sing and be happy. And I,
Well, that was yeah, it was the whole thing of what the relationship was like.
yeah,
It was like it was a drive to just do what they love, not be the biggest in the world.
yeah,
Like, and I think that's one of the things where it's like, if your goal is like, I'm gonna sell out Madison Square Garden or whatever, and like you have this
yeah,
grand ambition, then any level of success between where you are now and Madison Square Garden is not enough.
yeah,
And they were very much like, no, I don't want to just be a cover man. Like they had that conversation, like the Neil Diamond experience. I want to help like people experience his
yeah,
music more, and like that the highs of this movie were them selling out like a big theater, like a
yeah.
stand-up venue.
Opening for Pearl Jam where they play one song and Eddie Vedder comes out and he
Yeah,
sings with them. I was in like, and even me as like somebody who's like not like super into Neil Diamond, when like the gag of like there's somebody they get a phone call and it's
yeah.
revealed to be Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam being like, hey, I like your act, you should open for us.
What's
And
a
he's like,
Pearl Jam?
what's a Pearl Jam? The daughter's like, Dad, come on, stop being stupid. That's the band. And then
What?
yeah, and like even the casting for the Eddie Vedder cameo guy was like a
Yeah.
good cast and like a good performance. Like part of me was like, oh, I don't want to hear people sing like their own voices for the next several
Mhm.
hours. And then by that point, even I was like, sick. Like
Yeah.
that's so sick. Like I wish I could have seen Eddie Vedder cover that with them. Like you
Yeah.
start buying and be like, oh, I actually wish I could have experienced the Neil Diamond experience they were providing. And yeah, I love that little like little reveal at the phone call and stuff. Like
Yeah.
you know, it's not like again, this is far from my top 10 list, but it was such an enjoyable experience for how I saw it
Mhm.
that I truly was like buying in on scenes I thought I read off 2 scenes prior, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
again, like the tour bus driver and all that, like the big reveal for their first show that they put all this harder and effort into, and even the biker, yeah, because he's like, what they say, they're like, yeah, it was a motor club, they're like motorcycle club, so it was bikers, and they're like, just play some hard rock, and like that's Hugh Jackman's character. Oh, also the proposal scene
Yeah.
where Hugh Jackman is like he's kind of controlling of his vision. He's like he's bought it,
Yeah.
and you believe him, but then he kind of learns to compromise a little bit. Maybe
My bad.
yeah, maybe play the hits, and like he proposes to Kate Hudson after they get in essentially a bar fight with a bunch of bikers who didn't want to hear Suleiman.
Yeah.
And again, like that's a good scene. That's got good heart. And again, they don't do this huge thing of like they're in the rain being like, I was going to propose. He's like,
Yeah,
I
it's not
still love
too
you.
heavy.
It was so light. And then they speed run the wedding. And also, to be fair, I looked at my girlfriend a few times in this because my girlfriend's sense of fashion. And again, maybe that's why I was so into Kate Hudson during this. But it was like she for her wedding dress, I was so rock and roll and cool. And I was like, that's it. When we get married in Vegas, that's the look. We're dressing like the
Are you gonna
lightning and
propose in
thunder.
the Cineplex and then go to Vegas?
Yeah, exactly. So no, I thought the costuming and like the fun. If I was filming this without you here, I have a little wardrobe rack. I was gonna put all my like most flamboyant outfits. Because again, there's so many funny like moments. This is me like in my own mental handicap here. I was like, I love that they'll start scenes wheeling the wardrobe rack out with all the wardrobe. And again, it's not like a tour bus. It's like they're wheeling like 5 really funky outfits on and that would be like kind of like in Predator. Every establishing shot has like a small animal being killed by a big animal. And it was like the wardrobe rack was always being wheeled out. That's how you knew it was go time. And I was like, oh, it's a fun little filmmaking nod there to like how they're segmenting the movie.
Well, I'll ruin all your fun loving just with my. I only really had 2 nitpicks. Was one, the pacing by the end. Like I think it just was
Dragged a
little.
tiny bit,
There could have
yeah.
been.
Well, especially because it's so good at the start.
Saves
When it
more.
does drag,
Yeah.
you kind of instinctually like
It's it's over 2 hours. It's like 2:15, I want to say, something like that. And
yeah.
it definitely feels a little more of that length by the end. And again, because they do a lot of like full song segments, and again, it's part of the art of pacing is actually really hard to do. But like we go from the concert,
Yeah.
basically right to the funeral where she sings another full song, and then we cut from the funeral to the kid
video
watching
message.
the video of him doing
Song Sung Blue
for the third time, and we
In
hear
entirety.
like the whole thing to close it out. So that's one of the things, like it's not that like it was too much, but it's like how you string those together and the shots that follow, the scenes that follow another scene really can impact the pace. But that was my only gripe structurally. The one performance that I definitely did not like was the son.
I knew that's where this was.
Yeah, because there's a scene again, like this is the point of the movie where again it's like an emotional beat of like he just died, they're at the funeral, she's singing this song, and it cut to like a shot of the kid, and he was like fucking like making the weirdest face and like clearly wasn't crying and like advising or something, at least again what it looked like.
Yeah.
And Ty, I remember like we're trying to be like, again, because when it does go emotional, it is working, and then it cuts to that, and me and Ty, I heard Ty broke, and then that broke me. It was Ty goes like, and it did like it looked so silly, and again, he's a kid, but also I feel like having seen that coming off of Hamnet somewhat recently, where I'm like, holy shit, like, that's an award nominating
dude, an Avatar, all those great child
performance.
actors.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely not that. The Hamnet one though, like specifically, like to me, that's just like that is an Oscar caliber performance.
Yeah.
Well, not even child. That's an Oscar caliber performance from that kid in that movie from a child.
Yeah.
And so, like again, it was one of those things where I'm like, that kid was definitely the weak point, and he's like, his utility in the film is such that it doesn't. Like he's not relied on heavily,
Yeah.
so like the moments
And the daughter's excellent. Like she picks up so
was
much slack.
phenomenal.
She's like the main
Phenomenal.
supporting character.
Yeah, and again, like Kate Hudson and Hugh Jackman, like I really like them in this.
Very believable too. Like I said,
Yeah.
with the romance, like like as a child divorce who've seen many stepdad. I was like, he's got a great dad who stepped up, stepdad energy, but it's like it's earned. It's not just like I'm in your life now, and like you really believe it, and you really root for it. Like when she breaks down about her car breaking down, she's like, there are people that have nice things and people who just fix broken things. And obviously a metaphor for them. I was like, oh man, like that's so real. That's such a real conversation. Like I think I've had that in my life. I was like, what a great like we joke about being Oscar baity, but I'm like, those are the scenes that like you don't get those in Avengers Endgame, where someone's like financially destitute trying to pick their pieces back up together, which I would love if Captain America was like, Peggy divorced me, but I'm a single father now, so no, it's totally great. But yeah, we talked about the kid. It's nice having a partner who's not like as entrenched in movies as we are, because I've slowly started introducing her to like concepts and like story understanding and like writing and stuff to like for movies as a viewer. And I was so proud of her, because this is a moment where when he's watching the tape back at the end, the little kid, he hits like a Keurig, a NASA Keurig, and he sips a coffee.
Yeah.
And at the start of the movie, he's like, "You want a coffee?" The kid's like, "No." He's like, "You sure?" Anyway, so by the end, when his dad figures pass and this sweet and sincere, he sips a black coffee by himself in the garage.
Yeah.
And Renai's like, "Oh, they're bookending it. They're doing it. They're calling back to something from the start of the
Yeah.
movie." And I was like, "Look at you, you're learning." Like that's, um, but yeah, I was like, "Oh, it's so sweet." And then she walks out to the garden, like, "Oh, they're bookending it again with the garden." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, like there's gonna be one more." And sure enough, it was like the girl who's fixing her car that her dad
Yeah.
told her to do looks and was like, "You're clear." And it was like she's like, "That was like the trifecta of like bookending stuff." And I was like, "You're right, babe."
Me and Ty have a gimmick where we always like, if again we're at the theater or something, we'll nudge each other like that, and then we just go, "It all comes
Yeah,
back
yeah.
around." And
And
that's just like every time we do it, just
yeah,
like
and
the
the obvious bookend too was the
end.
movie starts with him singing as Sobriety Birthday by Song Song
Yeah.
Blue, and they're playing the tape on Sobriety Birthday of him singing. So I was like, oh man, like this is like the masterclass. Like when I went to film school, I think I said this before, film school broadcast college. They're like, and this was before the MCU was what it was. I had a teacher that was like, you're gonna learn about shot composition and stuff. And they're like, for the most perfect example of a formulaic way to open a
Yeah.
scene in a movie, it's Iron Man 1. You do the drone shot of the desert, you do a wide shot of the Humvees on the road, you do a close up or a medium shot of the Humvee, cut into the car, close up on Robert Downey Jr. having a conversation. And they're like, that is, for lack of like better examples, that is like the perfect way to introduce a scene. And so now I'm sitting here like, this movie is the perfect way to close out a movie. Like
Yeah.
that was the opening. They're recalling back to that. The kid had the beat with the dad about the coffee, the girl had the beat about the car, and the wife had the beat about the car accident. I'm like, it's all there. And the garden, symbolic of the garden that never got planted.
Yeah.
And it's like cinema, So
I'm genuinely curious to revisit this, like not because it's like I feel like, but I
I
like,
need a rewatch.
well, I wanna, it's to keep with the theme of the movie. I don't want to rewatch. I want to re-experience, and I think like that to me is really not even intended, but it works perfectly. Not to pat my own back on my own bit.
Yeah.
But like because I again, it was such a tying it back to the start of this podcast, talking about the experience of that movie and the surprise premiere and everything. Like, I really want to just kind of like, okay, taking all that out and like sit with the movie because it's like, I want to see like how those beats land and how it feels. And if, like I did just get the max of that version of the movie, or if it feels differently, on a more of like a sober rewatch, in that sense. But like, this kind of gets into this whole thing, like we're talking about the theatrical experience, and like this is such a um perfect thing for us, like as people that go to movies a lot. Like I was trying to dodge expectations on what the movie was. Like I remember telling like Adriana and Nick in the group chat, like, might be this, might be that. I'm like, shut the fuck up, I don't want to
Yeah,
hear.
even you're like, stop trying to guess because we were looking
Yeah,
at it and it
I'm
was
like,
like,
I'm envious of Sam that he gets to just come to a movie not knowing anything about it, possibly never. Like when we went into Hamnet, like he came with me to that. We did 3 movies that day. The first time he saw Hamnet was when we came out of our first movie, Rental Family, and he saw the poster for Hamnet, and he goes, "Huh, that looks like an Oscar movie." And I said nothing because I didn't want to even indicate that that's what we went in to
meanwhile,
see.
I'm like, this is Oscar bait bullshit. I don't want to see
Then
it.
we went in, sat down, and like hammed it, and he's like, it's like, so he had no idea about it. And so for me, this is such like a pure way to experience that, because again, like in this case, it was a movie I was aware of and I like knew it could be, but a classic example of like, I did not want to see this movie. There's like, absolutely, if without seeing it when we did, I would not have been able to see it even over the break,
Yeah.
being with Christmas and all of that. So it would have been a movie that we likely would have not seen, or at least, for our purposes to do
Yeah.
this podcast. And so I'm so glad that we did. And like, again, I think to tie this up, like this is like fucking Netflix and Paramount. Is Netflix going to get Warner Brothers? Is Paramount going to it? And like at the time we're recording this, like the actual board has told the shareholders of Warner Brothers not to take this new Paramount offer. So like, who knows? But like, the theatrical experience is so core, and I don't want, frankly, anyone to buy it, but that's just the nature of the world we live in. Who knows? So it very likely will go through one way, but like Netflix to me is worst case scenario. The movies, like,
Because Ted Sarandos is so anti.
oh yeah, and they're trying to, no, we're gonna keep it core to the business. I'm like, fuck, I don't believe him. I don't trust him. He doesn't deserve that benefit of the doubt. And it's so heartbreaking because Warner Brothers has been at the front of doing like
Yeah.
great movies this year. Like Sinners was the
Yeah.
biggest early
Well, I mean,
example of
yeah,
that.
say what you want about like David Zaslav gutting the company and all that, but it's like
Yeah.
what a phenomenal year for Warner Brothers as far as like
Yep.
F1. And like again, Sinners was huge. And like,
Were they one battle after another too?
Superman. Yeah, yeah. And that was like a bit too we made with the one battle after another was like, once in a while they're just like here, Paul Thomas Anderson release something that will lose us money so we can get cred with like the youth of the film goers. Like, yeah, what a great year for Warner Brothers movies, and it's kind of
Yeah, it
so
was.
heartbreaking. And we joked about this in the last episode. It's like if Netflix owns all the IP of Warner Brothers, that's such a dramatic shift in our lifetime. That like again in film school they talked about Warner
Yeah.
Brothers being like the studio that was known for musicals and starting all this like they were like one of the big three. The way like you talk about like Detroit having like the three main auto
Yeah.
manufacturers, they were the big three of Hollywood.
Mhm.
So the fact that like all this classic IP, like, oh, I can't wait for the Netflix streaming show about like Freddy Krueger, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, so, and we were joking about it, like, God forbid this time next year, it was like, oh, great, Odyssey's out in the Odyssey is out in theaters, the Christopher Nolan epic that's meant for IMAX is going to be streamed. And same thing, even it's like Shay's not a big superhero guy, but it's like, yeah, I don't want Supergirl on streaming like HBO Max would have done for Wonder Woman 2. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's a heartbreaking time for real movie people, and like we joked at the start about like the performative aspect of people and theater goers and like the letterbox crowd and the A24 girlies who have their phones out the whole movie, even though they love A24 and they buy all the merch books for Ari Aster. I love Hereditary.
Midsummer's great.
Midsummer was such a summer vibe horror. Like, yeah, daytime horror is big. Bring a lot of heat to this. But yeah, it's a heartbreaking time. Like I was at like work and like occasionally a podcast comes up at work. So like,
Mhm.
oh, you still doing that podcast thing? I was like, yeah, actually, it's a really turbulent time. Like my friend and I are like consoling each other on the down low on our phones, being like, dude, do you hear the Paramount thing got axed? And then I sparked this conversation at work with film technicians, and it's funny because I think for my industry and like working in Toronto, and like they've filmed Welcome to Derry, which is a great series and like show and expansion on the universe. It's also filmed in Toronto, Canada. Big work for IATSE here, but it's like yeah, almost regardless, I think we'll be fine because we do well in Toronto as like a Hollywood North. I might cut this, but like this is the derogatory term. Hollywood people refer to Toronto film technicians as snow Mexicans because we're cheap labor and we're in the
Definitely
north.
got this.
So, but yeah, so like the
I know
whole
you can't.
yeah, it was a term of endearment as a film technician in Toronto. So, but the long and short of it is my industry, my business will be fine, but as a theater goer, as a movie lover,
Yeah.
it has been a spooky holiday season looking at what that might mean for like just IP in general. It's like the IP wars. It's the Ready Player One of our lifetime now. Netflix is now owning the Iron Giant and
Well, and it's
whatever.
like again, like the IP part, like again in the context that gets used, like. But just this week, I saw The Shining in IMAX, which was the first time I got to see it in a theater, let
Yeah.
alone in an IMAX theater, and that is the Warner Brothers movie. And it's not so much like I don't care about like franchise, like shit's getting franchised regardless of who does it. But like I love those re-releases. And to get to see like again, like we've talked about it before, Jaws, to get to see Jaws in IMAX after watching it hundreds of times as a kid on my square CRT TV, and then to see that in IMAX, it was like, oh my god, like I just saw this movie I experienced the movie for the first time. And I always think of this David Lynch clip where he talks about like how devastated he is when people think you've experienced a movie on your fucking telephone. And it's like he's so right. And like that's like it's not derogatory about like, oh, like shit and art, like you can't do it. It's literally that to me is crystallized when we talk about when I saw it in theaters, it was like I saw it for the first time. It was the first time I experienced a movie in the method and the means that it was made for. And like that to me, to get that deprived of people of classic films
Yeah, you lose
that
the
you
option.
never get the ability to see IMAX to partner with them to make something to come out on IMAX screens or just re-release some theatrically. Like I pounced at we got to see Dirty Harry
Yeah,
in
35 millimeter
Austin,
in
like,
Boston.
and like all of these kinds of things, like that's the thing that worries me is like there's such like I love the ability to see movies I haven't got to see in a theater. And if Netflix ends up buying everything, that will be deprived. And then think of all the new releases. And like this like another thing that like we haven't talked about. I read an article, I didn't finish it yet, but I just saw it last night, was that the marketing people behind Neon and
Yeah.
Longlegs are now part of a film division in Warner Brothers
Oh.
to find and market movies like that.
And that would
Not
be
like specifically like
that would
Longlegs, but
be
like low budget and bring attention and energy to these smaller movies. And they just started at Warner Brothers, like Neon. And again, I know they get shit, but like A24, Blumhouse to a much, much less degree right now.
Yeah.
But like all of these studios that are pushing, like those to me are going to be the lifeblood of theaters if we keep going down the path we're going. And for those guys to leave Neon, end up at Warner Brothers with this looming over it is devastating.
Devastating.
And like, again, it's not that you can't have things for at home or that you can, like, again, I'm a physical media guy. I love watching movies at home, but that would never be the first way I would want to experience anything.
100%.
And I just think like it sucks so bad. So
Well, yeah, the people that are asking you to spend $5.99 more a month to share your account are also spending more than 80 million or billion dollars.
billion
Doesn't even matter.
with a B.
It's all monopoly money anyways. But like, you know what I mean? It's like that's where we're headed, and it almost sets the tone for the 2030s. I would say it's like, you know, if this is remotely successful, and you got Ted Sarandos being like, people love watching Nolan's Odyssey, you
Mhm.
know, at home 2 days after it came out in theaters. Then it's like, oh yeah, you know what? Heck, it Paramount's like, we just committed with the Running Man to say we want more movies on in
Yeah.
screens and theatrical releases, and the Top Guns and Top Gun Mavericks. And they're like, oh, you know what? Actually, from a business standpoint, the board says yes, streaming is the way. And like we didn't get a chance to bring this up because we weren't part of the Five Nights at Freddy's epic podcast. But that was also like a good turning point to have that discussion too.
Mhm.
When Five Nights at Freddy's, the first movie it came out, it launched, I think, the same day on Peacock,
Yeah.
and it was a gangbusters, like 80 million a weekend opening.
It was huge.
And people had the option to stream it at home, but the fans and the people who wanted the community went to the theater. And it's so important to pick those examples, those shining examples, because there's so many times, and I work with movie
Yeah.
technicians that are just the same average everyday people that are like, yeah, I'll wait for streaming. Oh, I can't wait for streaming. It's like, oh, I hate going to the theater. I spent $80 on popcorn for my 2 kids. Like, I'm not going to the theater. And I'm the guy at work that's like, hey, like, I get it, dude. I'm this pro streaming guy on the podcast I'm on, but you can never replace that like
Yeah.
experience. And think about being a child when you go to the theater for the first time, when your parents are like, "Ah, he's old enough to not cry his way
Yeah.
through a movie." It's huge. And like, you know, I was saying off air, as like growing up, going to cheap Tuesday night movie theater, sneaking Toonie Tuesday KFC in with my divorced dad, and that was our time to spend. That was so rare and seldom. It was you know, it was hallowed ground. It was a ritual of spending time with people and seeing a movie. And it's like I'll go to parties and bars all holiday season long, and people are like, "Oh, you a sports guy?" I'm like, kind of, but I'm like a movie guy. Like, what's that like? I'm like, well, talk about movies a lot, and then once in a while I meet another movie guy at a bar, and we're sitting there talking about Sinners,
Yeah.
how we've seen it twice in IMAX, and that's the connection in the world that I strive to get with people, and that diminishes when the dystopian future of streaming only.
Yeah.
So
Well, and like even those examples, like you gave Five Nights at Freddy's, Barbenheimer's another one. Like
yeah,
that was a phenomenon that even like those were driven by younger people.
yeah,
Like it's not just like old people that like are so used to that. And I think the thing we need to really hone in on is like they're the younger generation understands like conceptually that there's a difference between watching a movie at home and watching it at a theater. But if anything, it's like we just need to train people of the habit of like getting back into movie watching at the
yeah,
theater. Like, don't wait for some IP that's super recognizable. Like, and again, like to really bookend this whole thing, like go to the movies and give movies a chance and take the occasional risk. Like, it's okay to have preconceived notions, but especially if you're going to the Monday surprise premiere, go to the movies. Don't walk out. Give them a chance. I promise you, I have gotten more mileage out of stories and conversations with my friends and strangers about the movies that I stuck through that were terrible than the ones where anyone would have walked out. And again, the experience, the opportunities, the stories that could have come for those people that left right away that they now have deprived themselves of
Yeah.
because they didn't give it a chance. Just give stuff if you have the time. Like again, if you put yourself into that circumstances, you've boxed it like, okay, 2 hours of my day, I'm not gonna be available. Commit to it, and like again, there's a whole lot of benefits to just unplugging for 2 hours, but
Yeah.
unplug and give something a chance to meet it where it's at. And I promise you, more often than not, you will not regret that choice, and your life will be better and richer for having made that choice.
And not to steal the last word of the episode, but I was coming down hard on those A24 girlies, but like I would call them performative, sure.
Mhm.
But be an A24 girly, be a performative male hype beast that goes to see Morty Supreme. Be those people because at the end of the day, supporting
Be
movies in the
passionate.
theaters, yeah, vote with your wallet is something you hear all the time, and it's just like it's a call to action that like if you are remotely performative or not theater goer, just go because yeah, it's something that could disappear in our lifetime, and it's something that like it's like we're getting older, and nothing makes me more sad than there's a world where it's like going to a theater is like when you see a dystopic movie, they're like, yeah, we used to have things called newspapers, son. Now we just have the tablets, and that would be my thing. It was like, oh man, I would love to be able to go to the movies with my grandkids because I'm going to be old and still love movies, and yeah, so
And when you do go, stay off your goddamn phone.